celebration. Start the party, Los Angeles! Your Dodgers have won the World Series!
You know what they say, there ain't no party like a West Coast party, because a West Coast party don't stop. And on October 30th, 2024, the Los Angeles Dodgers won the World Series in 5 games over the New York Yankees. What's happened since then has infuriated the collective baseball community, particularly on social media. Fans of the other 29 teams are frustrated with the Dodgers' ability to sign the best free agents to contracts with payments deferred basically until the end of time. But to cry foul at the Dodgers' spending is irresponsible without considering the broader picture. In other words, if you're mad at the Dodgers for building an elite-level organization to entice the best players to sign there regardless of the financial outlays, then you're not doing the work in criticizing your own favorite team's inability to execute the most sound business strategy. And if you're too lazy to watch this full video and immediately jump into the comments and call me out for glazing the Dodgers, then I know everything I need to know about you. The story of the Dodgers' present-day dominance started back in 2012, when Guggenheim Baseball Management acquired the Dodgers from Frank McCourt for $2.15 billion. The following January, the Dodgers signed a 25-year broadcast agreement worth $8.35 billion, giving them the most lucrative TV contract in the league. Los Angeles is the second biggest media market in the country, behind only New York, and California's overall economy is the 5th largest in the world. It was only a matter of time before the money started pouring into the Dodgers' coffers to the extent that we've witnessed today. But the story doesn't stop there, because money alone doesn't guarantee a championship. Just ask the Yankees. Since the turn of the millennium, the Yankees, for so many years the richest, most dominant team in the sport, have managed to win just one championship. Outspending the rest of the league was a viable strategy up until the emergence of Moneyball in the early 2000s. I've made videos on this before, but at its core, Moneyball is designed to extract maximum value from all corners of the organization. And that doesn't just mean the free agent market or trade market, but as Moneyball has become the standard across the league, a very poignant message has become abundantly clear. Money alone doesn't guarantee you a championship, and neither does Moneyball. In the last few years, teams with the right mix of spending and savvy organizational development have experienced success in bunches. But over-reliance on one school of thought or the other on its own doesn't directly lead to success, much less championships. The A's and Tampa Bay Rays are the poster children for Moneyball by the book. Both organizations are known as two of the most frugal franchises in the league, as neither has had a payroll even close to Major League average in the 21st century, at least consistently. The A's are one of baseball's most storied franchises, and that's its own separate topic, and yet they act like they're continuously bankrupt. The Rays are one of baseball's newest organizations, and have only become relevant due to their reliance on advanced analytics. And while the Rays have made the World Series twice this millennium, they haven't really come close to winning at all. The A's, on the other hand, recently moved the organization from Oakland to Sacramento, with eventual designs on becoming Las Vegas's team, all while having a legitimate playoff caliber team as recently as 2019. What happens when you take a team like the A's or the Rays, organizations heavily reliant on out-of-the-box quote-unquote non-conventional thinking in building rosters and developing players, and you give them billions of dollars to spend? You get the Los Angeles Dodgers. After the 2014 season, Andrew Friedman joined the Dodgers as president of baseball operations, giving the Dodgers a deadly mix of money and efficiency. Friedman, the 2008 Sporting News Executive of the Year, brought to the Dodgers an approach to building a team that started to pay dividends the very next season. And following the 2015 season, the Dodgers hired Dave Roberts as their next manager. One of the youngest managers in baseball at the time, Roberts had a reputation for being a great man manager and communicator, seemingly the perfect fit for a historic franchise on the verge of transformation. You probably know the story by now, but the Dodgers began their string of dominance, especially in the NL West, that culminated in World Series wins in 2020 and 2024. And you could argue 2017 belongs in there as well. But perhaps the most consequential moment of this generation of baseball was when the Dodgers signed baseball's cheat code, Shohei Ohtani, to a 10-year, $700 million contract with $680 million of that money deferred for the next 10 years after his contract. Since his true emergence in 2021, Ohtani's desire to win championships has been well documented. And with Ohtani knowing his value in endorsements alone, he knew he didn't need to get paid the full $70 million in average annual value while he was playing. Endorsements alone were worth more than that contract. The priority for whoever was to sign Ohtani was to build a roster around him that could compete for championships. And no, having Mike Trout on the same team just wasn't enough. And as the story goes, the most valuable contract in North American sports history at the time was heavily deferred for the following 10 years. Was it a Dodgers-led proposal to defer more than $500 million, or did Ohtani actually offer this same thing to his other major suitors? Yes, it's true. Ohtani offered this same proposal to any team who could match the financial outlay. And judging by the fact that at least 2 other teams had the same deal on the table, it wasn't just the finances that led Ohtani to choose Dodger Blue. Following Ohtani to the Dodgers was Yoshinori Yamamoto, his fellow countryman who signed a 12-year, $325 million contract just a few weeks later. Guess who was involved in heavily persuading his countryman to sign with the Dodgers over a team like the Mets and their $21 billion owner, Steve Cohen? The Dodgers went on to win the World Series in 2024 on the backs of their new signings, and Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman, 2 of the game's biggest stars. Why did Freddie Freeman sign with the Dodgers? And why were the Dodgers able to trade for one of the game's best players in Mookie Betts? It's because they had both the financial ability, which other teams have to lesser extents, the prospect capital, which other teams have, and the ability to use them to their advantage. Freddie Freeman could have been a Brave for life if the Braves wanted to spend their money. Betts could still be playing his home games at Fenway Park if the Red Sox wanted to spend their money on a player who, by his own admission, wanted to stay in Boston. Not every single team has the financial muscle to outspend the Dodgers, but there is absolutely an argument for those teams having the ability to retain talent if they value winning. As a Braves fan, I know, if there's anything the organization values more than winning, it's profitability. That same thing likely applies for almost every other team. Owners are too obsessed with their year-over-year bottom lines to make the tough decisions to invest, knowing it might create short-term losses. But just ask any fan. Winning begets winning. A championship means fans attend more games, spend more on merchandise and concessions, and watch more games on TV. Winning is profitable, and only the teams with the foresight to understand that very fact will truly be successful. Let's also not act like the Dodgers are the most aggressive spending team in the league. Did the Mets just sign Juan Soto to the most valuable contract in North American sports history? Have the Padres and Phillies not spent silly amounts of money to acquire or retain talents like Fernando Tatis Jr., Manny Machado, Bryce Harper, Trey Turner, Zach Wheeler, and Yu Darvish, just to name a few? If your team isn't spending, it's not because they're just rolling over for the Dodgers. It's because they don't see how valuable spending can be, nor do they want to take the risk because it could end up hurting their bottom lines. True, not every ownership group can go toe-to-toe with Steve Cohen or the Guggenheim Group, but every owner can spend more than they currently do. And until those teams realize that very crucial fact, then they'll be playing second fiddle to teams like the Dodgers for years to come. You know the saying, scared money don't make money. But the crucial distinction between rich teams throwing money at the problem and the Dodgers is that investment in the organization has to be measured, calculated, and intelligent. Yes, the Dodgers spend money, but not just because they can. And let's also not forget that a good chunk of this Dodgers team is made up of reclamation projects who have turned out better than anyone could have expected. Michael Kopech was once an elite prospect who lost his command and his confidence. Max Muncy was cast aside by the A's, only to become one of the Dodgers' most prolific home run hitters. Teoscar Hernandez had stretches of good production, but lost his way big time last season in Seattle. And in the last 2 seasons alone, the Dodgers were able to get the most out of JD Martinez and Jason Hayward, 2 players well past their primes, but still large parts of the team's successes in the last 2 seasons. Anthony Banda and Ryan Brazier were cast aside by multiple organizations, Blake Trinan was a huge question mark given his injury history. Daniel Hudson gave what was left in his right elbow to win a championship. The list goes on. And that doesn't even mention younger pitchers like Alex Vesia, Bobby Miller, Gavin Stone, Emmett Sheehan, and so many others who were drafted and developed by the Dodgers. How about the 2023 World Series MVP in Corey Seager, who took a lucrative offer from the Rangers to become their franchise cornerstone? And what about 2019 NL MVP Cody Bellinger? And how exactly did the Dodgers acquire Mookie Betts? It seems to me that we forget very quickly just how the Dodgers built themselves into the team they are today. But it's also not like the free agents the Dodgers have signed this season were unavailable for the other 29 teams. Almost every free agent the Dodgers have signed this offseason could have been signed by other teams across the league. On top of that, why else do you think players would be okay not getting paid the full average annual value of the contract? Why are the deferrals so common and so thoroughly accepted? It's because the players value winning, and winning creates profitability. The Dodgers are far and away the best team in the league at combining savvy free agent investment and in-house player development. Whether it's re-signing Teoscar Hernandez and Tommy Edman, or signing Blake Snell and Tanner Scott, or acquiring one of the most talented prospects to come out of Japan since Shohei Ohtani in Roki Sasaki, the Dodgers have invested on winning not just today, but tomorrow and for the foreseeable future. Other teams may have offered more lucrative contracts with more money up front, but the Dodgers have created for themselves an irresistible proposition. The message is clear. Come play with Ohtani and company, get the most out of your talents, and win World Series, plural. Deferred money be damned. Winning is more profitable than any amount of money that anyone can offer. Of all the teams in baseball really able to challenge the Dodgers in the long term, the Mets have by far the best shot. After Steve Cohen bought the team following the 2021 season, a flurry of spending brought Max Scherzer and later Justin Verlander, among other players, to the Mets in an effort to bring a championship to Queens within 5 years. But while the Mets won 101 games in 2022 and made the NLCS in 2024, their most crucial acquisition, by far, was hiring David Stearns to lead baseball operations. Most recently, the president of baseball operations for the Milwaukee Brewers, Stearns oversaw one of the most successful stretches in Brewers history. And like Friedman with the Rays, Stearns was handcuffed by ownership's inability or reluctance to really spend money to help supplement a thoroughly efficient operation. Now working with an owner with a seemingly bottomless budget, Stearns and the Mets look primed to match the Dodgers in all areas. Whether or not they actually do so will be one of the more intriguing rivalries of the next 10 to 20 years. The optics of the Dodgers roster construction this offseason in particular are basically just they spent a lot of money. But in practice, why would players like Ohtani, Yamamoto, Snell, Hernandez, Scott, and Sasaki choose the Dodgers over comparable, if not more lucrative deals with other teams? It's because the Dodgers have become one of the game's best organizations at developing and coaching players at all levels of the organization. It's because the Dodgers draw in massive crowds day in and day out, despite what LA traffic might have you assume. And it's because the Dodgers operate from a level of strength that other teams simply haven't been able to match. And that gap isn't just down to money. It goes back to hiring the right people at all levels of the organization, starting at the top. Andrew Friedman is one of the best executives in baseball, and it's down to his leadership and support from ownership that has allowed the Dodgers to build themselves into the behemoth they are today. Plus, the game's played on the field, and last I checked, the season hasn't started yet. So let's revisit this in a year if and when the Dodgers win the World Series in 2025, and the party truly is a West Coast party. That's all for now. If you've made it this far, you're probably already writing an angry message about how I don't understand baseball, or I'm just glazing the Dodgers. Or if you agree with me, you've enjoyed a deep dive into the Dodgers' dominance. If you enjoyed today's video, a like is greatly appreciated, and make sure you subscribe for more. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.